course, by having an understanding of the physical world that we live, we always come into a discussion of the reality that we feel that is around us. It's a three-dimensional reality. The two dimensions, it's some sort of, to us sometimes, looks like a distortion of the reality. Looks like, especially if I don't have even two dimensions, but I have one dimension. I have even a photograph, nothing else. This photograph, of course, does not represent the actual reality, but I'm getting the feeling that, the three dimensions, perhaps in some people's mind, represent better and closer the actual reality. Now, of course, from the church point of view, that is considered a very big mistake, a very big misconception of things. Because the emphasis of the spiritual life is to show you what is the faith and the control of things that you don't see. The ones which are beyond. And to understand what is beyond, only by explaining through the three dimensions, you are losing part of that. Why? Because you are feeling that whatever exists is what I see, and is whatever I touch, whatever I know. But if you start making the simple reflection of, is that all what exists only expressed in three dimensions? In what kind of false reality that I'm talking about? Is it, in other words, there's nothing beyond that? Of course, to that kind of question is if you reflect properly, etc., you find that there are easy ways to go about and rediscover that that's not true. Why? Because the most beautiful things in this life are outside these three dimensions. And to that, you can understand, for example, the typical example is to start with something very common, to say art. You see art. You see a painting. Now, it's the painting is in front of you. It's two dimensions, three dimensions, whatever it is. Okay, you see it. 10 people see the same thing. And 10 people, they understand different things. Or they see different things. So, what makes the difference? Why the different people see different? Why? Of course, because they have different personality, because they have different perception, because they have different education, because they have different, how deep they can go into this, or how they recognize two lines that are two simple lines, but for somebody else is something different and something. So to see into that kind of extent, you can go not with 5 different opinions, but 100, 1,000 different opinions. Which opinion is right, and which is right, and which is not, and who is, etc. And why this incredible painting, which is famous and costs millions, from somebody costs $5, I don't give it down into this, I don't understand at all, and from somebody else is so precious, it isn't them. So immediately you get a picture, that if I don't see something, probably something is missing. Probably something I don't see, it is there, or my eyes are wrong, or etc., or whatever. Which is the reality. Actually the reality. And of course, many times I'm using this typical example because it's very common to us humans. You see a very ugly woman, and he's ugly. What can we do? And if you see somebody which is her friend, her husband, or whatever, he says, how lovely. How beautiful is that? Where did they see the beauty? Now, of course, if you are talking about three dimensions, and if you are talking what you call objectivity, then perhaps that is, fake, because it doesn't represent what's the reality. The reality of that, if for somebody else's beauty, means that he shows something that you don't see. He understands something that you are not part of your. And of course, then definitely it's true. Because sometimes we have difficulty to say, yeah, why that is considered X, Y, Z. And it's not only that, but it's typical. So, although if I have a relationship with you, or if my relationship is very advanced, then the understanding of the beauty is totally different. It's in a totally different direction. And not only that, we said the example of the art, the example of the beauty in that kind of sense. How then you put the understanding of hope into a person? How do you understand the etc., etc., etc.? There's 100 of things that when you go to the tradition of the civilization of this mankind, you'll see that we pass through all kinds of stages. We pass through ancient Greece, which has a philosophy, and the philosopher, he is looking for the good, to agathon, they say. I'm looking for the good, but what is good? How you can consider to put good into 3 dimensions? You cannot. You have to see it in a totally different way. And of course, the emphasis is that, what makes me change? What is that is there and I don't see? And then the ancient Greece, including, the top of the philosopher Socrates, arrived at, there is something behind me that I cannot see. And it is to the unknown God that I build up this temple for me. And to the God that is there, but I don't see it, I cannot figure it out. Why? Because I live before Christ, I live before the revelation. So, to understand that, something has to be revealed into me to understand it. And to reveal to me, one of the most beautiful ways that the church is figuring out that is a way to do it is on the ecclesiastical painting, on the decoration of the church, on all kinds of other ways to kill you inside of you that the reality is 3 dimensions, and to tell you that really, if I will show you that reality in 2 dimensions or in a different way, perhaps you'll start thinking of what is the beyond. And to understand the beyond, you have to kill the probability that with 3 dimensions you'll find reality. And by doing that, of course, you are advancing and you say, all right, how do I use perspective on the 3 dimensions? If I kill the perspective, then my picture becomes an icon. The icon is killing that. Is representing 3 things at the same dimensions, because that's the reality. He does not separate this. He does not separate and tells you this is depth, this is width, this is the other. Why? Because the depth, it's much different than your conception of depth or your perception of this. That's why they say that the icon is the window to heaven. Why? Because he opens that window and shows you another reality, which is the actual reality. On that kind of other reality, there is no time and space. There is no corruption. There is no death. But to enter that kind of reality, you have to enter in this world, not in another world, in this world, in the liturgy. By entering in the liturgy, by starting the liturgy, you say, I'm coming into the kingdom. I'm entering into that kind of reality. And by entering that, everything else becomes, that kind of other reality. I'm taking the bread and the wine, and I'm not taking this, I'm taking Christ. This is a totally different reality. It's a transformation of all that into something else. If you say, no, I'm doing that because I imitate that, you lost it. It's not an imitation. It's the actual presence of that kind of reality. So the church, is the entire emphasis. He exclude in the Orthodox Church, he exclude the statues. Why? Because he says the statue is the representation of the three dimensions, is your understanding of the three kind of dimensional reality. Although it's beauty, although it's this, although it's the other, although it's express kind of stuff, but the point is to see the beauty beyond beauty. And not just the beauty of this, because the beauty that you see yesterday will not be the same today, will not be the same tomorrow. It will be something totally different. And now, how the church does this kind of emphasis into that kind of experience, which is the beyond, yes, he does it in his liturgical way, in his icons, in his decoration, in everything that does. Tries constantly to show you the beyond, the behind, the above. And to show you that even in your life, the end of your life is not the death. If it's death, there's no point for life. To indicate always that the beauty is what comes after.